This is Long Lake. It's all the way at the top of the valley. A good 30-40 minute bus ride. When you sit on those buses, we went on the smaller ones. I recommend you sit close up to the front of the bus so you can actually read the little tiny TV screen. As you pass by each feature on the bus, depending on where you're sitting, you may not really be able to see it, but they will show it on the TV along with a subtitled English and Chinese narration that explains what the main features are of the geologic area. And it's really one shot to see and understand what it's talking about, because as you can see when you get here, there's really no explanation for what it is, but they give you a pretty good overview as you're walking, as you're riding the bus. And then as you're walking, you'll have an appreciation for what you're looking at.
I'm going to toilet. Are you going to wait here?
I'll walk down this way. I guess you can get your picture taken with someone in Tibetan garb. So, I get annoyed when I travel with people and they make poor decisions that affect me. The friend I'm traveling with, she's a really nice person, but she booked a hostel that was really far, not walking distance to the entrance of this place, and it was 200 yen per person. 200 per person. And we get there, there's no Wi-Fi. You have to rely on them. They cook your meals, which is one of the reasons it was so expensive. It was, in fairness, Lonely Planet recommends it as the top place to stay, Joe Ma's homestay. But for instance, there were some, I think they were Australian tourists who stayed there. Now they went to the trouble of taking a flight from Chengdu to here, which is the more expensive and faster way to get from Chengdu to Jiuzhaigou. But they get up at 4:30 in the morning. They get to the airport. Then they have a $300 cab ride to get to the homestay. And then they sit at the homestay because, of course, they're going to make you lunch and cook for you, which is what I initially was like, well, why would I want to have somebody cook for me? I'm not going to be there. I'm going to leave early in the morning. If breakfast isn't ready, I'm not going to wait around. And then you have to take an expensive cab ride from that house to the entrance of the park, and it's going to take time, so that means you're going to get to the park late. It's a lot of wasted time and expense. And so they took that flight, and then they were going into town. When we got to the hostel yesterday, we took one look at it and we're like, we're not staying here. They gave our room away anyway to someone else who decided not to leave their room. And so we didn't even have really it was a private room, but there was a window going onto the hallway with no curtain. And it was like, are you kidding me? So I hope she doesn't get charged for a first night stay. That was a bit ridiculous. They were nice about it. They drove us into town, and we found a place. We could have probably negotiated it even less, down to probably around 80 a night, I think, or even 65 a night to stay. But she calls on the phone and negotiates it without even asking them the price. Again, why I don't you have someone who speaks Chinese, you think they would help negotiate a little bit better. And she gets off the phone. She's like, okay, great, I made a reservation. I'm like, well, how much is it? Oh, I didn't ask. What? I just told you how much you should ask for. I said you should ask for 80. That's the discount price. She didn't ask, so of course they told her after she'd already booked it, it'll be 108. And it's it's not that much a difference. What is that? 30, 28 yen. That's what? $5 a night? $15 for the whole stay? Not a big deal, but come on, use your head. You're an adult, Booking, and then yesterday we have this 10-hour bus ride to get up here. And it's personally, if I was going to come here and take a 10-hour bus ride, I'd make sure I wasn't rushed and I had ample time so that if stuff like that happened, it wouldn't piss me off so much because I would have one day to see this park. I'd be like, no, I'm going to stay an extra day. I understand people work. And again, the choice of coming here this time of year, that's when she could get off work for the 2 weeks. That dictated when I would come. So it's well, I'm kind of now on your schedule the whole trip. And essentially that translates to going to somewhere during maybe the worst time of year for crowds. Like, I would never try to go to Yellowstone National Park in the middle of the summer. It would just ruin the experience because of the crowds. And I'd walk away pissed off and be like, this sucks. No way around it, you know? Crowds kind of ruin it. But that's what happens when you travel with people. Like, people were asking me, they're like, well, how do you travel if you don't speak the language? And I'm like, money talks. And then you go to a hostel, if you need help with something, you have them help you book stuff, you'd be surprised. Then there's English translations, like the subtitles, but if you sit too far away on the fucking bus and you can't read them, that doesn't really do you any good, now does it? And she gets all excited when we're waiting in line. And she's like, I'm getting on this bus. And she runs on the bus and sits in back. And it's like, really? Like, I tell this to people all the time when I'm traveling with them. And then I'm trying to take a picture. She she bumps me to hold my hand, like right when I'm going to take the picture. And I'm like, really? Or like she walks right in front of me when I'm taking a picture. And I'm like, really? Like, I don't want to be a dick, but like, have a little courtesy. Like, obviously you could see I'm trying to take a picture, But people do that shit all the time when you travel with them. And it's like, ugh. Just like a constant headache to travel. You like the person. It's nothing against who they are as a person, but they do that little shit like that all the time. And you're kind of like real frustrated. And it kind of ruins the experience. And like when I went to Zion National Park in the summer with the fucking buses like this, where every stop you try to get off at, a horde of tourists gets off the stop with you. And you're constantly around like screaming little kids. And, it just ruins the experience. Like, why go there at all? Go out of season, on the shoulder season, when you're going to do stuff like this, It just totally ruins the experience for me. But I hate being pissed off at people. It's not really their fault. It's the situation, And I feel like I fault myself for allowing them to make the decisions, Like she said, when I tried to book the room, there was not a lot of vacancies left, which didn't make sense to me because immediately when we got to that place, I go on hostels.com and there's a plethora of places to stay, Yeah, not a lot of them had ratings, but obviously like they were fine, decent places. So we ended up staying at, So I don't know. Kind of pisses you off sometimes. Like, they did a whole narration on this as we were coming up on Long Lake, but I could barely read it as the bus jostled around from where we were. It was like, so they said this was the mother lake and the source of all lakes. It doesn't dry up in winter. It doesn't overflow in summer. And then immediately we get here. She's like, I have to go to the bathroom. So like now I'm done walking here. Where is she? And it's like, we only have one day to be here, really? Like constantly dealing with this kind of thing. It's like, I'm like traveling with a little kid or something. Like, you don't want to hold it against someone that they have to go use the bathroom. But it's like, really? We just got here and, This is why I travel with myself around the United States in a van. And I refuse to text or get caught up in people's bullshit. And I did my own thing and I enjoyed it. It ruins the experience. You get one shot at doing this stuff and you want to enjoy it. You don't want to be like all wrapped up in petty bullshit and people have these stories. To them they think they're great stories. They go home, oh, the hostel was so bad, and they tell these basically tales of woe. And it's like, go ahead with your stupid tale of woe about how fucked up and stupid your short vacation was. I'll enjoy myself while I'm there. Then if people ask me how it was when I come back, I'll say, it was good. Maybe I won't have a stupid, entertaining story, but I'll have enjoyed myself and not wasted my time going there with dumb drama. I was listening to people who were taking like 30-hour train rides and they were going on and on. And it was like interesting to listen to, but it's like, well, you kind of sound like an idiot for doing that. But to them, that was like the most interesting part of their vacation because they didn't set themselves up in a way they could actually get into the nature and the history of the place they were in a deep way.